What's up, defense fans? Let's go over NFL Week 14. First look. If you need to get a hold of me, you can find me on Twitter, Jack Tweets. And if you want to hear me on some podcasts, go ahead and check out my friend David's podcast, Armchair Commentary. Just look him up wherever you listen to your podcast, Spotify, etc. He also has Instagram and Twitter page. Let's jump into it with quarterbacks. Hodges, I know it's a young quarterback. Great spot against Arizona. Pretty decent, actually good pass block. Slightly green yellowish color. Mayfield, 30, good spot against Cincinnati, but if you look at his pass block, pretty bad. Negative 19 in red there. Cousins, pretty good spot. He's been playing well recently. Not good, not bad pass block. It's kind of middle of the pack there. Locke, another young QB with a good pass block against Houston. Not as good as a spot as Hodges, but the slate could play out whichever way. You never really know. It's not really somewhere I'm targeting for sure, but at this point, it kind of looks like he's going to be in my player pool. Again, this is a first look. Brady always fails me. The spot doesn't look fantastic against KC, but he could be decent. Darnold, pass block, pretty decent. Decent spot against Miami. They haven't been playing too terrible lately. Fitzpatrick, again, with this guy, you never know who you're going to get. Fitzmagic or Shitzpatrick. But can't deny the spot against the Jets is decent for him there. Tannehill against the Oakland Raiders. I don't know what they'll do, if they'll just run over all the Raiders or if they want to go with the pass game. So you want to look at that for minimal upside. If they go heavy run, it's just one thing that could play out. Just throwing that out there. Brissett looks to be in a really good spot against Tampa Bay weak secondary. His pass block isn't the greatest, though. Carr looks to be in a good spot with a great pass block. Unfortunately, Raiders do not pass deep. That really limits Carr. I know they do like to run with Jacobs a lot. That also limits Carr. So not really looking at that spot. Rodgers, though, against Washington defense, he has good pass block with him. That looks like another spot I would like to target for this week. As long as we're going off the first look only, things can change during the week. Moving over to running backs. I don't know if Connor will be back. I know he's past the concussion protocol, but he also, I don't know if he had another injury. I think I'm getting him mixed up with Juju, with the hamstring injury of Juju. But if Connor's back, looks to be in a pretty good spot there. If Snell is in, he also looks to be in a pretty good spot. Run block's not the greatest. Moving on over to Ingram. Run block looks really good here. Looks to be in a good spot. Freeman, this is reminiscent of a smash spot that Hill was in probably about, 2 weeks ago when he was a chalk. I absolutely hated that. Why? Because in that game, their run block was like negative, it was bad. It was like dark red, like negative 20 something. So I don't know why everybody was on that play. It was absolutely terrible. Again, continuing with Freeman, he hasn't done much this season. None of the Atlanta running backs have done anything this season. They're not running well at all. So if you want to take a flyer on the spot, I get it. I may, just because he's really highly ranked here and I don't want to miss out on it. But the run block doesn't look to be the greatest, and going by the whole season's performance so far, hasn't looked good. Cook looks pretty good here. 29 run block, decent and yellow at 11. Geis again, great run block. Not that good of a spot against the run defense. He's only a 24 this week, unlike last week where he was 30 or 31, something like that. Lindsey Freeman, I hate split backfields. Even though Lindsey got the majority of the workload, he didn't do much with it last week, so I don't see that spot being really targeted again. Gordon, terrible run block against this defense. And we'll get a little bit into that later. I listed Eckler here because he gets a couple carries, but it's nothing major. He gets like 9, 10 carries. Michelle, again, another person that doesn't really split the backfield, but there's other bodies there that, for whatever reason, Burkhead and White just take a lot of work away from him. But the spot looks great. Fournette, I love Fournette all season. I've been waiting to get hurt, and he hasn't gotten hurt, so that's good so far. Run block, not great, not terrible. Henry looks to be in another pretty good spot here with a good run block. And Jones with a pretty decent run block. We'll move over to the wide receivers that line up on the left side. If you notice, some of these guys I have double wide receivers because, for example, on Pittsburgh at the very top, Johnson and Washington both line up equally on both sides. So they catch passes on both of the outsides. Don't really know where they're going to go with this. Again, the Juju news you need to look out for. But as far as this spot, looks great. 17+% matchup on the corner from that side. Moore, 30, really good spot here. 15% advantage on the corner he'll be facing. Beckham at a 26 with a 5% advantage. Sutton doesn't look to be in as good of a spot as the other guys, but his advantage is way higher, 14%. Robbie Anderson has been playing a lot better recently. Looks to be in a great spot here. Galladay, 28 with a 23% advantage. That looks to be a really good spot this week. Parker also lines up on the right side. Just to show you real quick, we'll slide over. So he's in a decent spot over there and a decent spot on the left. Kirk, I don't really like this spot. It's kind of low. I don't go down to the 20s much unless it looks like Sutton where they have a big advantage. Then I do kind of like that spot as a play. Pascal Johnson, another team to look out for. I have Hilton here listed in the slot. He may come back this week. That's going to take a lot of targets away from people. If that's the case, I like Hilton and Doyle because they'll probably pass funnel towards them mostly. And Raiders, Jones, Williams, Doss. Doss I should have taken out, so don't really look at Doss. He'll be deleted after this video. He barely gets like 2 targets. Jones and Williams share outside passes. Jones lines up on the left though, so his name's first. Slot wide receivers, Jones for the Steelers. Now, a lot of these guys, they don't get a lot of targets, so you really need to do your own research. Look at how many targets they're actually getting, how many catches they're actually catching, to see if that works out for them, to see if it's actually a smash spot. But the defense is really weak against the slot there. Just like Kupp did good last week. Week before, it was Samuels on the left side. So never really know which one's going to get it. Looks like Washington and Johnson, but again, the Juju news, need to see if he comes back. Beasley and McKenzie, good spot. I believe Beasley gets more targets than McKenzie there. Landry, slight advantage over the corner, 1%, 28, good spot there. Thielen looks like a smash spot, 34% advantage over the corner. Again, he is nursing that hamstring injury, coming back. I don't know how top form he'll be. Keep an eye on that. Hamilton, good spot, but I don't think I'll go there. Edelman, usually pretty safe. Looks to be in a good spot with a slight 3% advantage over the corner. Crowder, I'm assuming with that 35% advantage over the corner, will be chalk. Bourne looks really good here, 27, 29%. Again, you need to look at this Sanders news. I don't know if they'll put Sanders in. If he does play, he usually plays a slot, but they may move him over to the right and let Bourne play the slot. So keep an eye on that news. Wilson, decent spot. Humphreys, wow, big advantage over the corner he's facing with the Raiders. Fitzgerald, 31 ranked defense against the slot. That looks like a really good spot there. Hilton, if he plays, that looks like a really good spot with a slight advantage over his corner. Moving over to the wide receivers that line up on the right. Higgins and Beckham, the reason I have both of them, Beckham also switches sides. Uh, Obviously, Beckham has a good matchup on the left, but a little bit better on the right. Treadwell, Thielen, and Diggs. I just want to point this out. If Thielen is out, Treadwell will move to the slot. Diggs will be pretty much on the outside. He'll move around. One thing to really look at, though, if you remember, when everybody was on Cooper, I liked Gallup because look who they're facing. Detroit. Darius Slay covers the top wide receiver. So whoever's in, if Thielen's out, that means Diggs is the top wide receiver. He will shadow Diggs, and that's I don't like that matchup. He could still score, he'd still work out, maybe with the volume of passing if they get down or whatnot. But uh, for the most part, I really do not like that matchup against Darius Slay. Patrick, slight advantage over the corner to 20, not really looking at that spot. Perryman did well for me last week. He had a higher advantage, more than 5% over the corner. Last week, I don't remember what the percentage was. And also the defense was weaker on the right side. This week it's only at 26. Williams Allen, the reason I put Allen, yes, he lines up in the slot, but he also does take various passes on the outside on the right. So they're both here. I kind of do like that Williams play, though, with a 9% advantage over the corner. Thomas and Anderson, again, Thomas doesn't get that many targets. Anderson does play both sides. He will play the outside on the right. So him also having an advantage on the left and being on the right also will give him a little bit more targets there. I kind of like that play for GPPs, and I'm still debating on if I would go there in cash. Parker, again, lines up both sides, left and right. Davis, Brown, I can never get these guys right. When I go Davis, Brown goes good. When I go Tajay Sharp, Brown does good. So this guy's pretty much everywhere. Obviously, he's a favorite target from Tannehill. Williams, Jones, both of these guys line up on the outsides for the Raiders. Neither get too many targets. Williams gets more targets than Jones. Williams gets about 8 or 9 targets a game. Lazard, again, looks like in a smash spot. Doesn't have that cornerback advantage like he did last week. Adams also listed. He does move sides as well, left and right. Moving over to the tight ends. Tight ends against Arizona is a thing. So McDonald's in a smash spot. I expect him to be extremely chalky. One thing I like to point out, if you are one of those people that don't care about the chalk, care about the chalk, and you want to pivot off of this, seeing as how there's not too many strong wide receivers in red here, like there was last week, it's not exactly as straightforward as last week. If we take a quick look down at the bottom, we'll zoom in. This could be a double tight end weekend. Doyle and Graham look great. 16 and 14% advantages over the safety that will be covering them. 29th defense and 30th defense against the tight end. That looks good right there, guys. Just pointing that out there. But we'll stop skipping around and we'll go back up to the top. McDonald, worst ranked defense against tight end. Slight advantage over the safety with a 5%. Olsen, 21 with a 11% advantage over the safety. Knox, 4% advantage. As I've said before, shout out to Bills Mafia. I really like this kid, Knox. He's very athletic, although because Allen scrambles and stuff, he doesn't use the tight end or the backs as a safety net for quick dump-offs. So that really limits him. But this kid is very athletic, and I think he can do good if they start utilizing him. Hooper, massive advantage over the safety, 37%. Only a 20th ranked defense against the tight end, but I know Ryan does like to use him, so Hooper could be also in a smash spot. Maybe you go Hooper Doyle, Hooper Graham, Doyle Graham, just move these guys around. If you want to go double tight end, play with some lineups. It just depends on you, how many lineups you make. Harris looks to be in a really good spot. and if you would want to call him the Tyler Higbee of this week. But if we go back and look, Mayfield's pass block is terrible. If he gets rushed and hurried, then he's not going to have time to throw to all these guys. There's a lot of mouths with Beckham and Landry there. So Harris could be a punt spot if you want to take a shot on it. Rudolph, I believe, I didn't list it, but Rudolph has a negative matchup against the safety he's facing. But the tight end defense is a 27. They have been using him more, so you could take a shot there. Gesicki hasn't really shown much upside. Waller, of course, usually always in play, although he's probably priced high. I haven't looked at pricing, but I'm assuming he's priced high. And let's go ahead and cap off the video with the pass catching running back Samuels. If the rookie, for whatever, gets a little rattled, he starts dumping off to McDonald and Samuels. They could have good days to the running back and the tight end. Just get those short passes out quick. McCaffrey, always in play. He's kind of matchup proof. Even on his worst weeks, he gives you double digits. Ingram, again, he was good with the running block. Again, he pass catches. Dual threat. I like dual threat backs. Same thing with Cook. Hunt could be in play here with the Mayfield. If Cincinnati can get to Mayfield with that bad pass block and he starts dumping off to Hunt, it could work out. Not sure if I want to go there, but it's definitely a good looking spot. I already mentioned Cook. Lindsey Freeman, again, that split backfield. Lindsey gets most of the work. Still didn't do much with it last week, so don't really see much upside. But if you wanted to take a shot, I get it. Eckler, with Gordon having a bad pass block, Eckler could do most of the damage catching those passes. He has been getting double-digit points regardless, even since he's been back. So Fournette, again, heavily used in the passing game. I like the spot for Fournette. Bell, this guy has been failing me week after week, but the smash spot is there. We'll see how it does. I might probably put him in like one of my lineups. Henry and Jacobs, the last two backs, they don't catch many passes, maybe 2 or 3, which really limits their upside. But of course, these two teams like to run, so Jacobs and Henry have been pretty consistent lately, 100-yard games or more with a possible touchdown. I could see this working out. Last thing I want to mention is we will move over to the defenses. Let me adjust this so you guys can see. I don't want to make it too small. I like to, the teams I listed in green, I like to look at the offensive sack rate. So Arizona, Cincinnati, Green Bay, Miami, Oakland, Tennessee, and Washington all have really high offensive sack rates. Then I like to go and look at the defensive sack rate. If they match up well, like Pitt and Washington, I like to kind of target those defense, just like the Rams last week. I liked the Rams, I liked the Chiefs, all kind of matched up with the offensive sack rate and defensive sack rate. But I'm pretty much looking at all these defenses listed in green here for my player pool so far. That's pretty much all I got for Week 14 first look. Good luck, guys.